David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Breaking news tonight, police responding to an active shooter incident at an In-N-Out burger in Idaho. The FBI sending agents to assist. Details just coming in. Also tonight, extreme fire danger for millions as we peak threat conditions right now in the Pacific Northwest. A wildfire emergency in Washington state. The National Guard called up. In California's Sonoma County, troopers driving through a wall of flames. And the heat wave from California to Montana. More than 50 million people on alert. Our weather team tracking it all. Water systems in at least 7 states hacked. Minnesota, Michigan, and now Georgia, too. Growing fears that Iran is behind the cyber attacks. The Pentagon preparing intense new strikes on Iran, what the country is now threatening, and the new warnings to Americans from 10 U.S. embassies across the Middle East. President Trump blasting U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro for dropping charges against a former Olympian in the reflecting pool case. Pirro blaming the contractor, saying the Rush project was botched. New York State suing the popular prediction market Kalshi, calling it nothing more than illegal, unlicensed gambling. The frantic call from a mother who was making an Instacart delivery when her car was stolen with her 2-year-old inside. The dogs trained to chase bears out of neighborhoods wearing GoPro cameras, the dog's eye view. Balloon mishap, the remote control balloon catching fire at a rally, the operator injured and taken to the hospital. And America Strong tonight, the hero lifeguard speaking out for the first time after battling dangerous surf to save a young boy.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. I'm Whit Johnson. We begin tonight with breaking news in Idaho. Police are responding to an active shooter situation near an In-N-Out burger in Twin Falls. Authorities are asking all residents and visitors to avoid the area. ABC's Jaclyn Lee with the details just coming in.
Tonight, multiple law enforcement agencies responding to a shooting at an In-N-Out in Idaho. Authorities say multiple people are dead.
We've had a shooting at the In-N-Out location that has resulted in fatalities.
Terrifying video showing a man standing in the drive-thru at this Twin Falls In-N-Out, pointing a gun and firing.
Any available units, you can start heading towards In-N-Out for an active shooter.
Families in that parking lot running for their lives. Cars speeding away, running over a traffic cone.
What's happening?
Shoot, go, just go.
First responders on the scene closing roads, telling people in the area to stay away.
Whit, we're hearing the FBI is offering their assistance. The situation is still developing. Whit.
Jaclyn Lee with those breaking details. Thank you. Now to the extreme fire danger across the Pacific Northwest, and there are more than 50 million Americans under heat alerts from California to Montana. The governor of Washington state declaring a wildfire emergency, issuing a burn ban and activating the National Guard. At least 30 large wildfires are raging across Oregon as more than half of the state is facing severe drought conditions. And tonight, this dramatic image from an astronaut aboard the International Space Station, capturing a view of that billowing smoke from space. Here's ABC's meteorologist Leslie Lopez.
Tonight, raging wildfires across the Pacific Northwest. A new fire popping up outside of Spokane. Homes there on fire as officials there order evacuations. Washington's governor issuing a statewide burn ban and activating the National Guard to support firefighting operations. The Mondrite fire burning more than 40,000 acres with more than 600 firefighters deployed. In Oregon, more than half of the state facing severe drought conditions, at least 30 large fires raging. The Rogue Creek Complex fires burning more than 300,000 acres. An astronaut aboard the International Space Station sharing this photo of the massive plume of wildfire smoke stretching across Oregon. Evacuation orders are in effect in several states, including parts of southeastern Idaho. The fast-moving Big Rock fire burning over 1,000 acres overnight and threatening nearby communities. And in California's Sonoma County, the Woodside fire outside of Santa Rosa now roughly 40% contained, burning at least 150 acres. The flames fueled by hot, dry, and windy conditions. More than 50 million people are under heat alerts from California to Montana.
Weekend warming trend is well underway. It's going to be hot inland.
In Montana, the persistent record heat combined with low river flows led officials to shut down the rivers, citing dangerous conditions for fish.
We're out here early because the river does close down about halfway through the day due to heat.
Those extreme temperatures extending to Southern California, where beachgoers are also being warned of rough surf and dangerous rip currents.
I don't go anything beyond where I can easily stand.
Let's get right to ABC's meteorologist Leslie Lopez. So, Leslie, where is the greatest fire danger tonight?
Right now, it's the Pacific Northwest, and I do want to time that out for you. The biggest danger is happening anywhere between the afternoon all the way through about 8 o'clock tonight. So this is where it's happening, anywhere from northern Oregon all the way up towards Washington. The problem is a cold front will be moving through the area, bringing with it 50-mile-per-hour winds. That could mean explosive fire growth for the area, so big concerns. We bring it down through the southwest, and here's where we're also seeing heat. While they get a cold front in the Pacific Northwest, it'll cool them down. 116 will challenge a daily record in Phoenix, and then we head out to flood threats all the way from Illinois to the Florida Panhandle into Texas and also New Mexico. So watching it all. Over to you.
Really an alarming situation there. Thank you, Leslie. Next tonight, growing concerns about cyber attacks targeting water systems across the U.S. Minnesota, Michigan, and Georgia are among at least 7 states now reporting they've been hacked. Federal and state authorities are investigating whether Iran could be involved. Here's ABC's Morgan Norwood.
Growing concerns tonight over the security of water systems across the U.S. as ABC News learns more about that suspected cyber attack targeting America's water supply. Days after officials in Minnesota confirmed a wide-scale breach of more than 30 water treatment systems by potential Iranian hackers, sources are now telling ABC News Georgia and Michigan have reported similar attacks. The scope of the security failure now widening. 9 reported attacks in Michigan as the FBI and EPA warn utility companies that hackers are trying to disrupt service to critical water infrastructure. At least 7 states have reported some kind of incursion. In one case, the hackers were able to change passwords and network settings, preventing operators from controlling the flow of water into the tiny city of Brand, Minnesota. Investigators scrambling to determine if more communities remain vulnerable. Federal investigators have not formally identified who is responsible, but they're examining possible Iranian involvement, noting the hackers have not demanded a ransom.
Iran, through its Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and its Ministry of Intelligence, operates a global network of hackers.
The president dismissing that possibility, instead blaming Minnesota's leadership without offering evidence. Governor Tim Walz firing back, pointing the finger at the Trump administration for taking an axe to the federal agencies who fight cyber attacks. Just last week, a number of federal agencies, including the FBI and NSA, urgently warned of ongoing Iranian-affiliated cyber targeting of internet-connected operational technology. That advisory specifically pointing to a vulnerability that the FBI observed Iranian-affiliated hackers were exploiting.
And with tonight, federal officials are now urging water utilities to shore up its defenses, including taking critical systems off the internet in order to prevent future attacks. With
Morgan Norwood, our thanks to you tonight. New developments as the U.S. and Israel are planning massive bombing campaigns against Iran. U.S. embassies in several Middle Eastern cities warning American citizens to exercise extreme caution and urging them to leave. Iran once again accusing the U.S. of escalating tensions. ABC's Matt Rivers reports from Jordan tonight.
Tonight, as the Pentagon prepares plans for what could be a major escalation against Iran, Tehran once again lashing out. Iran tonight accusing the U.S. of fanning the flames of a regional war and threatening to attack critical infrastructure in the region if the U.S. carries through with its threats to target Iranian energy facilities. Overnight, Kuwait saying it detected and destroyed multiple drones that had invaded its airspace. In a dramatic move, at least 10 American embassies across the region issuing new stepped-up alerts to U.S. citizens, warning Americans to exercise extreme caution, saying Americans in the region should consider departing or be prepared to depart should there be escalation, with airspace closures a real possibility. 2 officials telling ABC News that the Pentagon is preparing a round of intense strikes on Iran that could begin as early as this weekend. Trump saying Friday,
"We'll be hitting them very hard. And, at some point they're going to say, we just can't take it anymore."
Iran continuing to threaten U.S. forces and allies in the region. And tonight we're learning more about how the Pentagon has responded to that threat by reconfiguring its presence from larger bases in Qatar and Bahrain to other countries like Jordan and Israel. 2 weeks ago, 3 American soldiers were killed in an Iranian strike on their base in Jordan. Just yesterday, Staff Sergeant Angel Rampersad was laid to rest on New York's Long Island. Meanwhile, with tonight, Britain's Maritime Safety Agency reporting that 2 more tankers in the Strait of Hormuz were targeted earlier today, a reminder of just how dangerous that key waterway remains.
Okay, Matt Rivers in Jordan tonight. Thank you. Now to the war in Ukraine. Overnight, Russia launching a deadly barrage of ballistic missiles and drones into Ukraine's capital city of Kiev. At least 9 people were killed, dozens more injured. Russia has escalated its ballistic missile attacks. Ukraine's President Zelensky is now renewing his plea to the U.S. and other Western nations for more air defense systems. Back here in the U.S., President Trump is doubling down on his reflecting pool vandalism claims. The president saying he disagrees 100% with U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro's decision to drop vandalism charges against a former Olympian. Pirro is now blaming the damage on the contractor. ABC's Alex Brachet at the White House tonight.
Tonight, a stunning reversal by the Department of Justice. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro dropping charges against a former Olympian for allegedly vandalizing the reflecting pool. This was Pirro a month ago, confident in her prosecution.
The evidence shows, and we will prove beyond a reasonable doubt, that Hearn willfully destroyed property at the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool.
In a Friday filing, the Department of Justice said additional documents provided by the Interior Department show a botched installation by the contractor caused the damage, not David Hearn, the former Olympic rower who was originally arrested and charged with vandalism. The DOJ cited the rush to complete the project prior to events associated with the America 250 celebration in the week surrounding Independence Day of 2026. Federal records show the company was paid more than $14.6 million through a no-bid contract. Pirro writing in a statement, given all of this newly discovered information, it is difficult to attribute the widespread damage to the reflecting pool to vandalism, let alone establish that fact beyond a reasonable doubt. The president blasting Pirro's decision today, posting, "I don't know what she was thinking. To me, it was a pure case of vandalism." And tonight, a blame game within the administration. Pirro criticizing the Department of the Interior for not being forthcoming with information. And Secretary Doug Burgum firing back, saying his agency provided expert and eyewitness testimony. Burgum, like Trump, is steadfast, insisting there's clear evidence that vandals have repeatedly damaged the reflecting pool.
And in a statement, David Hearn's attorneys say that the drop charge does not erase the government abuse of power in arresting and charging a patriotic American who they say did nothing wrong. They also say the administration owes Mr. Hearn an apology.
Alex Brachet at the White House. Thank you. Now to the new lawsuit against the popular prediction market Kalshi. New York's Attorney General accusing the company of operating an illegal gambling operation. Tonight, how Kalshi is responding. Here's ABC's chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, the future of the popular prediction market Kalshi is in question after New York Attorney General Letitia James sued the platform, alleging it's nothing more than illegal, unlicensed gambling. If you watched any of the World Cup, you couldn't miss Kalshi's ads. Kalshi's popularity is surging, with millions of monthly users generating billions of dollars in trades every week as Americans bet on everything from whether the Fed will raise interest rates to movies at the box office to who will win tonight's game. Kalshi called the lawsuit pure political theater, meant to protect casinos in the state by killing off prediction markets. Kalshi said it is regulated by the federal government's Commodity Futures Trading Commission and outside the state's purview. But the Attorney General said trades on prediction markets depend more on chance than skill, so are quintessentially gambling, which New York bans for those under 21. Kalshi's minimum age is 18. The lawsuit said Kalshi also skirts New York prohibitions on wagering on games involving New York college teams. There are multiple lawsuits across the country with claiming prediction markets like Kalshi fall under state jurisdiction. If this one is successful, Kalshi could be forced to pay billions of dollars and cease the way it's operating, not just in New York, but across the country. Whit?
Aaron Katursky, thank you for that. Next tonight, FIFA is dumping a controversial proposal to sell stakes in the World Cup after a revolt. President Gianni Infantino pitched creating a $20 billion company to run the World Cup with private investors, including a key investor group led by Joshua Kushner, the younger brother of President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Europe's soccer governing body threatened to boycott future tournaments, including the World Cup. Asia and North America, including the U.S. men's national team, also opposing the plan. Infantino's senior advisor resigning over the proposal. Now to the dramatic police rescue in Atlanta. A woman was making an Instacart delivery when her car was stolen with her 2-year-old toddler in the back seat. A suspect now facing multiple charges, including kidnapping. Let's bring in ABC's Andrew Dimberton. Andrew, what more are you learning tonight?
Tonight, Atlanta police releasing the dramatic 911 calls and police body camera video after a 2-year-old girl was rescued from the back seat of a stolen car. The child's mother telling dispatchers she had stepped away to drop off an Instacart order when someone drove off with her car. Her daughter still strapped inside. Police say officers tracked down the vehicle in just about 15 minutes, finding the toddler safe and taking the suspect into custody without further incident. The little girl was reunited with her parents a short time later, unharmed. Police say the 21-year-old suspect now faces kidnapping and other charges. Whit.
All right, Andrew Dimbert for us tonight. There's much more news ahead on World News Tonight this Saturday. The motorcyclist shot on the interstate, reuniting with the heroes who saved his life. Women's professional baseball is back, taking to the diamond for the first time in nearly 30 years. And the dogs trained to chase bears out of neighborhoods. Their GoPro cameras with a dog's eye view. Next tonight, a Tennessee man shot multiple times while riding his motorcycle, thanking in person a state trooper and National Guard medic who helped save his life. Dashcam video showing the trooper arriving, the rider laying on the side of the interstate, the trooper applying a tourniquet to his leg. The medic then arrives, treating another wound to his back. The three meeting again recently. The rider already back on his bike. The shooting remains under investigation. Newly released body camera video from the moments after a powerful home explosion in Canton, Ohio. Officers racing to evacuate people from a 3-block radius as officials work to get the gas shut off. Debris from damaged homes littered the ground. The explosion in a vacant home triggered a fire that spread to others nearby. 2 people were hurt. When we come back, the emergency at a summer festival, a large balloon going up in flames. To the index tonight, a large balloon going up in flames at a festival in Pittsfield, New Hampshire. The balloon, shaped like a fire truck, was powered by propane and was controlled remotely. The person operating it was injured with possible burns. When black bears get too comfortable around humans and start roaming neighborhoods, the Nevada Department of Wildlife calls in 2 trained specialists, dogs with GoPro cameras on their backs. They chase the bears away. Their job isn't to attack the bears, but to discourage them from hanging around. The dogs work alongside human biologists to return the bears to the wild. Women's professional baseball is back. The first league in nearly 30 years kicked off today in Springfield, Illinois. The league has 4 teams from New York, Boston, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, and they'll play a 15-game season. More than 600 players showed up for tryouts. The 120 who made the cut, so happy to have a league of their own. Still ahead, the dramatic rescue by a teen lifeguard now speaking out, and it wasn't his only rescue that day. Finally tonight, America Strong, the teen lifeguard telling his story and gaining national praise.
This dramatic rescue in Santa Cruz, California, making national headlines. A 16-year-old lifeguard battling rough surf to save a 10-year-old boy. Tonight, that hero lifeguard telling his story for the first time.
I look up and I see a young boy get swept off his feet on a low point on the beach.
Turns out this is Ryder Williams' first season as a lifeguard, and that rescue also his first.
The challenges for this rescue was that it was so close in, fins were ineffective. As I grab the child, he goes limp, so I'm thinking about if he's unconscious or not, and that I really need to get us in.
Ryder says he struggled against the relentless waves and strong current, giving credit to his lifeguarding partner.
I was thinking I just need to hold my position until my partner can get here because I'm not going to be able to get him out on my own. Doing the best I can to get a good grip on the child and not get sucked out any further. Without working together, we would not be able to make many of the rescues we do.
He got the boy to safety, and there would be more rescues that same day.
I returned to my tower after the rescue and ended up making more rescues later that day.
Ryder receiving praise for his heroism from across the country, including President Trump inviting him to be honored at the White House. The experience solidifying his dedication to the job and to helping people.
The experience has been amazing. It is awesome to get to come out and help people every day. This is our job, this is what we're here to do, and this is the reason we are here.
And a job well done, bright future ahead. Have a great night.
David Muir, the most trusted, most watched newscast in America. And now, World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the 4th year in a row.